you're on.
Okay, great. Late night from Willowdale. Sorry, we didn't want to do another video so soon after our long one with our buddy Chris. But, yeah, so much to talk about. But let's keep it short, 5 minutes. So, I just, let's talk about Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain. We talked about it briefly on Saturday night. Trudeau is going to actually host a meeting with the premiers of British Columbia and Alberta to sort this out. He should have done this a long time ago. You know, sometimes Trudeau is absent, and these are crucial issues, for our country. Canada's a fragile place. You know, I always thought of Canada as a country that's held together by hope and ambiguity.
Ambiguity is good.
Ambiguity, yeah. Hope and ambiguity. That's what I always thought of Canada.
Keep things nice, loosey-goosey.
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of a fragile place, and it's a region's combat. It's, it's not as crazy and chaotic as some other federations like our neighbors south of the border. But you need to finesse it. And Trudeau, this has been a brewing problem with the pipeline, the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Pipeline. Trudeau, this meeting between Horgan and Notley and Trudeau in Ottawa on Sunday, long overdue. Trudeau should have massaged this issue. Me, I'm a big fan of getting that one. I'm a fan of pipelines in general, but this one pipeline expansion definitely needs to happen. It's just an expansion of an existing right of way, so do it.
Let it be known that I'm not into pipelines.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm not into
Trudeau has the constitutional authority to ram it through, and if these negotiations don't go well, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get some spine. His dad would have done it, and he needs to get some spine. Let's face it, Trudeau spent a lot of the last couple of years massaging the environmental and Indigenous communities. Come on, he's entitled to one, pipeline, and a lot of Indigenous communities support the pipeline. So, get it done. Take some leadership. Expend some of your political capital in British Columbia, whatever. Get that pipeline expansion built and get it. It's already been approved. Just get it done and show some leadership. And he hasn't really shown a lot of leadership. He loves to be on the international stage. He loves to look pretty. He loves, but he's also built up some capital with the environmental and Indigenous communities. So expend some of that capital and get that pipeline done. It's good for national unity. It's good for the economy. And we need to get some Alberta oil to market. So let's get it done. And like I said, as John Iveson said in the National Post, Canada is a country of compromise and pragmatism. And I say it's a country of ambiguity and hope. It all works together. We're still together, 150 years later. So we're still together. But Trudeau needs to step up and show some leadership and expend a bit of political capital. He's got less than 2 years left in his mandate, and he needs to show some leadership. His father certainly would. Get that pipeline built. One pipeline. It's not going to destroy the planet Earth.
And there's a pipeline already built for it, right?
Yeah, there's already a pipeline. It's just 20 of an existing pipeline.
Right.
So let's get it done. And if he has to use his constitutional authority to do it, do it. Okay, let's move on to Trumpian world. I always say in these videos, I don't want to spend a lot of time on Trump. It's a lot of fun, of course, but it's also very serious. Trump is, as I write to do this video, we haven't attacked Syria. The U.S. hasn't attacked Syria tonight. It goes to show how complicated the whole situation is. Russia owns Syria, basically. So attacking Syria is basically attacking Russia. And Trump, in many ways, is a Russian agent. He's a double agent, but basically he's a Russian agent. So this is complicated for him, despite his tweets about, warning Russia. Attacking Syria is attacking Russia. They pretty much own Syria. So it's a complicated story because there's so many competing interests in Syria now. So um, there are very, as everyone says, like 5 or 6 different wars going on. There's the shadow war between Iran and Israel. There's the Sunni Shia. There's the war, the Turks and the Kurds going at each other.
They're even saying Saudi Arabia could take over from the U.S. in Syria, right?
Yeah, I mean, to use this phrase, this is a clusterfuck. I can't think of a bigger clusterfuck in the world. And to add an American, French, British invasion would make it far. Oh my God, it's just so horrible. And it could happen. By the time people see this video, this could have already happened. What's interesting is, and no one's talked about this, is the French are chomping at the bits. The former, and the French, Macron is a warmonger. This great Emmanuel Macron, Trudeau's buddy, cosmopolitan, progressive Frenchman. Are you kidding? Macron wants to attack Syria more than Trump. He's so looking forward to killing some Arabs. This says it all about what France today. Like, it really is a nutty place. Overly nationalistic, anti-immigrant. Macron tries to make this image that Cleve, remember that when they had all the demonstrations under the Eiffel Tower against
same-sex
marriage?
Yeah.
France is not a progressive place.
Mm.
It's kind of a nutty right-wing place.
I admire the secular ideal, though.
Yeah,
like I do,
Yeah. I to a point, but
no, I know. Like, women should wear whatever the fuck they want. Like, obviously,
yeah, they're arresting people on the beaches of
that's
France,
dumb. Like,
bikinis.
yeah, right.
France is not a progressive place. Macron really wants to be the strong man in Europe, to show French nationalism, and he really wants to be Trump's ally and show the rest of the world that France is back, France is great again, and we have a strong military, and we're gonna. I mean, come on, Britain and France were the former colonial powers of the Levant, Syria, Israel, but then Palestine, Lebanon, whatever. So France always sees Syria and the Levant as part of their own colonial legacy, and Macron is chomping at the bit to attack Syria. It's sickening. More so than Trump. The French really want to go in there, and I find that sickening. No one ever talks about it. But Macron is a warmonger, and he really wants to reestablish the Middle East, I guess, in the French image. Or
it's like a new religion almost,
yeah.
Right?
In 1917, with the end of the Second World War, 1918, the old empires dissolved, right? The Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the French Empire, they all dissolved in the Middle East. And you see the Turks wanting to get back involved. The Turks want to occupy parts of Syria. You see the French wanting to get back. The Brits are more than willing to get back in there. And, it's all pathetic. It's like 1918 revisited. The fall of the Ottoman Empire, the old European powers, and they all want to get back in there. It's sickening, and this is the sideshow. Forget about Trump and what the Americans are going to do in Syria, because nothing happens without the Americans. But what is sickening is that the Brits and the French really want to go attack Syria. And of course, everybody knows an attack on Syria could be so horrible. And it's just done for political reasons from the American side, from the British side, from the French side. Hopefully Canada's not involved, but you never know. And of course, Russia kind of owns Syria, so this could really be nasty. None of this should ever happen. First of all, the chemical weapons attack, I think it did happen. There are lots of chemical weapons around. I'm not going to take the lefty position that they didn't verify. I'm sure. But there's so many people that died through conventional weapons in Syria. Half a
What is the
million.
deal? What is the difference between chemical weapons and conventional weapons?
Not much. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, chemical weapons are nasty. They have a bad reputation. I mean, they're pretty nasty. But you die, whether it's conventional. I mean, cluster bombs and all the sort of nasty conventional weapons. I mean, look at the conventional weapons the U.S. has dropped in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Holy moly. There's not much difference. They're nasty. So 500,000 Syrians have died through conventional weapons and maybe some chemical weapons, whatever. 500,000 Syrians have died in a country of 20 million people. Come on. It doesn't really matter. It's semantics. And if we have a war going on in Yemen that has killed thousands of people. And this is a war led by the Saudis, an American ally, aided by the United States and aided by American weaponry, that's killed thousands of innocent people. And we don't care. We just don't care. Because you can't score political points on Yemen. And of course, the Saudis are our ally. And, oh my God, like the Saudis make Bashar al-Assad look like a schoolyard bully. The Saudis are the most vicious, nasty country. And the fact that
Very inexperienced in international
that
dealings,
MBS
though.
can travel around the U.S.
Yeah.
The Crown Prince can travel around the U.S. and treated like royalty is sickening. This is like Hitler. Like this, the Saudis are nasty. They get away with everything, and I'm shocked. So yeah, if they do, maybe not. I haven't heard. We're speaking at 1 a.m. on Friday morning. And they haven't attacked it. Maybe Trump is realizing this is a little more complicated. But yeah, think about Yemen. A country that's been devastated by the Saudi Arabia. Yeah, Iran is involved. I get it. But Yemen, a country that's been absolutely devastated by their neighbors, Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia gets a free pass. Why aren't we attacking Riyadh? Why aren't we attacking Saudi Arabia? Please.
Well, that would be
hypocrisy
a coup.
is just over the top. So if the U.S. and the former colonial powers, France and Britain, attack Syria, think of Yemen and why we haven't attacked, why we don't hold Saudi Arabia to account. Anyways, the hostility towards Iran continues. I was watching the hearings today in the Congress.
Iran is not that friendly of a country, though.
No, Iran is not that friendly country and has their interests in Syria and everywhere. But the hatred towards Iran is so irrational. I was watching the testimony today in Congress of Mike Pompeo, a real sleazebag who wants to be Secretary of State. But some of these Republican Congress people are saying, Iran is the evil of the world. All evil emanates from Tehran. Bizarre. It's just so crazy.
Well, we shouldn't.
And then if they want to they want to get rid of the Iran deal, the nuclear deal, which everybody says Iran has held its deal, it's held its bargain. Iran is held up, is totally complied with everything in that deal. They're doing everything. They complied. But yeah, it's just the hatred towards Iran and segments of the United States is just stunning. Anyway, they're going to go on there. Okay, this video has gone on longer than I wanted to do. And Trump, the craziness that goes on in the Trump administration is just, yeah. The Mueller thing goes crazy, and Comey's book is coming out. I wanted to end it, though, on this the tragedy of these hockey players in Saskatchewan a week ago. A little over, not quite a week ago. I think the media sometimes really milks human tragedy. And I really believe they've really milked this tragedy in Saskatchewan. And it's ghoulish and it's sickening. And I think people really need to think, okay, how much? We don't need to know more. Like 15, 16 people died, a lot of them young people. Do we really need to milk this for 4 or 5 days onwards? It's a turnoff, and just let people grieve and let people go through their stuff. But the media, just print and broadcast, just milk it, and it's terrible. The CBC is the worst. And yeah, like it's just let people grieve, and and the other thing is like this idea that every Canadian is identified with hockey. I'm
It's
not.
just not true.
It's not
I can
true.
tell you, I'm not identified
I'm
with
not
hockey.
identified with hockey. I don't like hockey. I don't like being identified with hockey. It's to me, it's a thuggish, stupid sport. If it was played properly, it'd actually be a nice sport. But the way it's played in the NHL, which encourages stupidity and fighting, yeah. But as a Canadian, I don't feel myself identified with hockey and Tim Hortons and all of that. Like I don't. I like to see myself identified with intellectualism, multiculturalism,
Things that matter, right?
things that matter, not hockey. So I don't want, but that doesn't take away from the tragedy of Saskatchewan. It doesn't. It's just, I think the media has milked it to sell, has milked it, and it's terrible. But don't think that every Canadian is identified with hockey, and because it's not true. And I just want to end it on that. Like it's horrible what happened to Saskatchewan. Like we get it. Like it's horrible, but we're not all all the editorials. Canada's won, hockey has won. Well, we can still mourn for these people in Saskatchewan and not be identified with hockey. I think people who watch this will know what I'm saying. I don't like hockey. I don't want to be identified with hockey. I'm kind of embarrassed that Canada's always identified with this sport. But that doesn't take away from what happened in Saskatchewan. That's horrible, and people are grieving. And I do think the media has taken it over the top. So, anyways, I think you guys know what I'm saying. Okay, that's it. Please end it.
Okay.